we are committed to erect a monument of some type for commending those who have paved the way for Black history, for us to be where we are today, courthouse lawn. And due to the pandemic, we hadn't met very much, but we are back up and running, trying to get things started off. In other words, taking over where we left off at. And we want to let you know today that we're still at it, still trying to do what we started out to do. Alan here has more information on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. We have nothing concrete on who, what, but we do know where and how we're going to do it. We've got to raise the funds. Right now, he's going to show you what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, this, if you'll take a look at this, so these are strictly thoughts that we've discussed. I've been involved in creating a number of things around the Delta over the years, from the various trails projects the state has created to the BTs, which we're now working on the expansion of. To do a project like we envision, we're talking about a good deal of money. We don't know specifically how much yet, but I can see that this could easily run $1 million or it could be more. So we're going to have to further define what it is we expect to create. But my vision was something that would tell the story in a way that's not been told yet. And we can talk about it in a lot of different forms, but if you'll take a look at some of the drawings that are in this particular document, you can get some sense of where we at least thought we might want to take this. It's an important story. It's a story that the state has begun to tell, at least in part, through what they call the Mississippi Freedom Trail. I think it's a huge opportunity for us as a community to put our best foot forward and come together and to do something that really is powerful. There are a lot of people today, as a matter of fact, several generations now, that don't know the backstory. I was here and I lived through those days, so I do know a little bit about what went on. And there are a lot of people today that have been largely forgotten. And our goal is to bring them back to the forefront so that they can understand how we arrived at where we are today. When I was a young man, everyone in this room would have been white. It's not the case anymore. And so we have a huge opportunity in front of us to do something I think that would be really powerful. And I hope that we can accomplish our goal. I feel confident we can. I know that projects like this take a while. To give you an example, we worked on the DDT museum initially. It took us really 6 years from the time the idea was conceived until we completed that project. So you're not talking about something that will happen instantly, but something that will be developed with community input. I know that Senator Jordan was really insistent that the Emmett story be part of that. Certainly that's a story that's woven into the fabric of our county. So I don't think that's a problem. I think that is something that literally fits into the dialogue, or the narrative, rather, that entire series of events. But that's kind of where we are. I think we've been a little remiss. I personally have been involved in creating the Yankee 72 Memorial and the Marine Corps plane crash, so that took a fair amount of my time. But I'm on this one now that Bishop and I have committed, as the other members of the group, Reverend Collins, to really give this our all and to hopefully come back to you guys with a plan that will show us the path forward.
Sounds good. And also we want to make sure that we are inclusive, we have some Greenwood flavor. Since we're in the city, we want to make sure there's some Greenwood connection in there since we're in our city. Something that'll be balanced, that'll cover various eras, I use that word, so we want to be inclusive, not just one time zone. That'll do something real good for our city. That'll be for all of the city.
It might cost $1 million, but I think it'll be worth it. Just tourist attraction, Greenwood, just to see history of Greenwood, it'll be worth it.
Well, you have a tendency to forget things that you don't remember.
Right.
If you don't have a way to memorialize something, you'll have a tendency to forget about it. So I think go ahead.
And adding Emmett Till to this, I think Senator Jordan was very confident that it's going to draw tourists to the city.
And even if we have to do the tax assessment, I'm done. It has to be done in phases. Okay. It has to be done a little here and a little there, depending on how much money you get and how
You all planning on having another meeting real soon to, continue the meeting?
Well,
Come back with
This
the
Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Bishop, Mr. Chairman, Bishop, it's all right with you, I know Senator Jordan and Senator Chestnut talked about some possible tourism fund that could be utilized for this project. And also, I know you're the chairman now, I'm on that committee, but, if Mr. Collins could be, on that committee with us, because I think Mr. Seth was on there, I believe, he was the chairman, whoever the chairman. But if you allow Mr. Collins to be on that, I think that would be helpful.
We're glad to accept him.
yeah, I think it's up to you guys to align. We go gladly accept it.
We're glad to see it.
By the way, your mama looks as young as you do, so.
She gets around if it does like that too. All right, we thank y'all for coming. I don't get
Thank
we
you.
need no,
Yeah, if you have any questions, you know.
Janet, you have anything? We're glad to have you all. And if you ain't no look, just stay around. Appreciate y'all having y'all here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just leave those with y'all, y'all take them. If you have any thoughts about it, I'd love to hear them, so. Okay.
Pastor, Bishop?
Okay. We were here once before, some years ago, 3 years ago now. And I want you all to know that we wholeheartedly endorse the group that is going to be trying to come up with a monument that tells the full story. But I do have some things that I'd like to share with you. Leflore County's Board of Supervisors, did you all know that you all are the only county in the Delta, and as far as my research can tell me, in the state, that does not have a Caucasian representative? You all, and as quiet as it kept, Sam is a Lebanese descent. So something had to take place for that to happen. Something took place for that to happen. Mr. Hammond, I think, alluded to the statue, and he said some things that I thought were very important. Because he said it was about remembering. That's what that does. Because if we can remember what that statue represents, you all even need everything. He said that too. Let's use our imagination for just for a few seconds. Let's think that if the North had lost and the South won. I mean, seriously, it's pretty deep. Let's just think, if the South had won, where would we be today? I promise you, you all wouldn't be here. So there was a price that was paid for you all to be here. And symbolism, you know, we got a lot of issues. We got crime, schools that we need to work on, roads. There's a lot of things that take away our attention. But I tell you right now, there's something to be said about the flag, which the world is starting to look at, and this monument. We're not saying destroy the monument. We're saying that the monument should be put where it should be. It's about heritage, it's about history. It should be in the museum. That's where you go find about your history in the museum. And believe it or not, that monument gives a picture, subconsciously for a lot of us, because some of us get right past it every day, but subconsciously when you look at it, if you ever stop to read it and really look behind it, it has nothing to do with the Civil War. Can you believe that? That monument has nothing to do with the Civil War. That monument has everything to do with white supremacy. I'm gonna let my son share with you his research.
Supervisors, board attorney, clerk, sheriff. Before I even talk about the things that I saw, one of the first things I saw and I thought about while I was sitting there was when we memorialized the fallen veterans who crashed in Leflore County, and we erected that monument for them across the street from Mississippi Valley State University. That was something that we all were proud to be a part of. We were engaged in it. You know, they had the service at Mississippi Valley State in the auditorium, and that was something that, as a collective, Greenwood as a whole, Leflore County as a whole, decided, you know, that is a great way to memorialize not only the veterans who on that crash, but our veterans all across the military spectrum. But when we look at that Confederate memorial, I don't think we would have did the same thing if we had to erect that today. I think what's going on now is that memorial has more to it than to race than it has to actually memorializing Confederate veterans. If you look at the time when it was created, it was erected in 1913, 48 years after the Civil War was ended. You know, it was in 1913 in Leflore County for black people. That wasn't a good time. And that statue represents I would say the era that was here in Leflore County. When you think about organizations as the Citizens Council that were prevalent during that time, that's what type of person or idea that statue represents. And we're coming here today, like my father said. Like I agree with Reverend Collins Earl Glass that we do need something to memorialize the history of Leflore County, which was a pivotal part in the civil rights movement. When it comes to black power, when it comes to actually being in the forefront, the feeding campaign, having people fly in because Leflore County was a poor county. So you had celebrities flying in to bring in food during the era, during the 60s, during that movement. But that statue doesn't represent the real history of Greenwood or Leflore County. And I know we go around and we look at Greenwood Strong, we see that on the flyers and on the paintings, but we can't be Greenwood Strong and we come to Leflore County, and the first thing we see when we get to the courthouse is a statue of a Confederate, memorializing the Confederacy, not even the Confederacy, but just racism, period. There was a picture I saw the other day where it was people pulling down a statue, you know, it had racism on the bottom, but under the statue were roots. Those roots that were in the ground, it doesn't just represent, it's just not a memorial. It's something that has negative connotations that I don't think our county needs, especially in front of the courthouse when we first come to the beacon of Leflore County. So we are asking that you all remove the statue. It can be placed in a museum. You have a couple instances where in Greenville, Mayor Simmons, he sent a letter to the supervisors to move the statue. Ole Miss IHL actually just agreed unanimously to move the statue that was in front of Ole Miss. And so far as today, Kavion Hill, who was a football player from Mississippi State, said that he would not represent the state, and it doesn't deal with the statute, but the flag is in that same nature. But he said he would not represent a state that still carried that flag. So this is not something that you know, it's a spur of the moment thing. When we look at Mississippi, we've been living this fight for a long time. And I think Leflore County, we need to be one of the first to say that the statue has to go. Thank you.
And let me close it with this. I think Reverend Collins alluded to this, that what they were going to do was going to take phases. And it may even take up to $1 million. Taking that statue down is not going to take phases. It's going to take just a few minutes. And I can probably find people that will do it for you for free. And I'll be happy to volunteer to make that, help form that committee. And when our foreparents came here, there was a 10-inch knife that was stabbed in their back. It was called slavery. It was called slavery. And I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that we made progress. We made a lot of progress. We won the Civil War, Voting Rights Act, Housing Act. We even got a black president. But let me tell you something about that 10-inch knife. Because of the things that we got, it's been pulled out about 6 inches. Well, guess what? We still got 4 inches of that knife still in our back. So what does that say? That says we still got a ways to go. So as I conclude, I want you all to know that I want the knife all the way out of our backs. Because our foreparents made it possible with all that pain and suffering. And we drive through the Delta and we see how far that cotton is. And our parents are out there so you can sit and hear the air conditioning. We got a predominantly black boy. That wasn't an accident. Somebody paid the price for that. We got a black female attorney, one of the best in the state, in the country. That wasn't an accident. Please, let's not shame their memory any longer by letting them relax. We'll get to it. They didn't say that about us. Let us take that down. Let us take it down. It was 48 years after the Civil War. You know what it means. It means that you are subjugated to a person less than a human being. We're the only race of people that it took the Constitution to make us whole. There's no other race. There's only black people have a constitutional amendment to make us whole. Only race. It's time. It's time. 3 years ago, we've been here, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited. Guess what? Waiting is over. My shirt says, progress over here. I want to thank you all for allowing us to come here. I always get passionate about things, and my wife talked to me and told me to relax. And so she sent my daughter here to help me relax, and she tells me to breathe in deep. But thank you all, and I'm so, honestly, let me tell you this. I'm so proud of you all. You just don't know. I'm so proud of you all. Because there was a time that our boys and girls could be doing our lifetime. Doing our lifetime. Couldn't even think about this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this moment in time. And I hope this becomes a historical moment for all of us today, so that somebody will come back and say, my ancestors, Moore, my ancestors, Brown, my ancestors, Collins, my ancestors, Gray, my ancestors, Mitchell. You know what they did? Do you know what they did? You too, Michelle.
I know how you feel. Me and my mother was discussing yesterday about the past. And I think I'm about to hold somebody to me and share things. My mother probably holding somebody to give. And younger people that's coming up now do not know the history. They don't know the history. If they knew the history, they would be killing each other. I mean, it is something that we came to that wouldn't nobody else want to go through. Miss Child probably remember. I was 6 years old when they was killed. I remember that. I remember where I was when they told me about it. We got up under the bed, we slept under the bed because we were scared. And I understand it. The statute doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of folks. And if it bothers my people, then, you know, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Any of the board members got anything to say?
Well, Mr. Collins, I have a few comments, not to regurgitate what has already been shared and said, but that statute, it represents a time after Reconstruction where armed Confederate veterans went throughout the South to courthouses that had black people, African Americans, serving as sheriffs, serving as clerks, and they violently took these courthouses. And it was either you leave or you catch a bullet. And so at these courthouses that were taken, this is why you find Confederate monuments at these courthouses. It serves as a symbol of intimidation, of fear, treason, domestic terrorism, slavery, and murder.
Yeah.
And no one should have to come to work
Yeah.
where a symbol of fear, intimidation, or a divisive symbol is in place. We all have to do business at this courthouse, regardless of color, religion, or whatever. So no symbol should be on governmental property
Yes, sir.
that intimidates or invokes fear in anyone.
That's it.
We have to get to that point where we look at the things that unite us and stop, with this divided talk and divide our community. And certainly, I support removing that monument
Thank you.
to a more suitable place. Because not everybody dislikes this statue. So it just needs to be moved to a more suitable place, because this is a place of business that everybody has to come to.
That's it.
And Attorney Childs.
Yes, sir.
I asked Attorney Childs to look into the how-to and the legality of having monument removed, and you at this time,
Well, according to the law, this board, if it decides to do so, certainly has the authority to have the monument removed, and that's according to section 55-1581.
Thank you.
However, after an order has been put in place, if the board decides to put one in place to have the statue removed, the Department of History and Archives has to be contacted about this board's intent. They do not have a decision in what this board will do, but their role is to provide some type of technical assistance. Number one, they would come to Greenwood to see if the monument has any type historical or archival value. And at that point, they will orchestrate or recommend how that monument should be removed in order to protect it. But this board has the power to remove it, determine where it is to be placed if they do decide to remove it. But the Department of History and Archives will have to be contacted to come and look at its historical value, if any, and to monitor the removal to have as least destruction as possible.
I totally agree. Thank you.
Michelle, do you have any type of expense that
No, sir, I do not. I don't have any idea what the expense was.
and we talked about moving, of course, I guess the museum, that we, is there anything that, have to contact the museum, or anything that's if we decide to contact the archive?
Well, there was some discussion about possibly moving it to the museum, and I think Mr. Brown may have made that statement, but as far as
But
I
it go
know,
anywhere.
this board hasn't determined a location which will have to be determined if you decide to remove it.
That's what I was asking.
I have a truck, if you need somewhere, I'll remove it for you.
Well, one thing I want to say, Mr. Brown, I applaud you for your effort and what you're doing all of it. And I'm in agreement with the words that were said and things. But one thing I don't want to do, I don't want to become what I despise. You got to be real careful with
I didn't understand what you said.
I said,
that. I don't want to become what I despise.
what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
That means I don't want to become what the others have done to us. I don't want to become that. And we have to be careful in our community, because sometimes your teachers are good, I agree. I'm not doubting what you're doing. But we also got a community that we need to bring together at this point, not divide. I'm not saying it's going to divide it. But what I'm saying, we have to be extremely careful. As Mr. Collins alluded, we have killings. And I'm not down watering anything, but that statue had killed none of my black kids. They had went to any of our community. We need to be focused. If you want to get rid of the statue, by God, get rid of it. I'm fine with that.
You agree with that?
But I'm fine. But we need to focus on what we need to be focusing on. We're killing each other every day. I ride my bike about every other day in our neighborhood, especially in the Crestview area. I was talking to an elderly lady. about 7:30. He said, Mr. Brown, I got to go in. I said, why? You know, it's cool. She said, I couldn't sit down here with all this shooting going on. I might get shot. And she said, somebody please, she said, if y'all would, come help my grandboy. He said, I can't do nothing with it. Those are type of things from ministers on down. That's what one of the things we get to talk about. Now, I'm not downplaying your speech. Y'all did a great job. I appreciate y'all coming. But there's more. There's more than a statue. That's carries the mentality that we got to deal with. And that's within ourselves. Yes, sir.
And not, I don't want it to be confused or
Yeah, I understand.
to an extent where we believe one thing is over another. Because to be honest with you, all these injustices are running parallel to each other.
Exactly.
So we gotta work on things as they come. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of stuff going on in our community. We have police brutality, we have crime against each other, which is not just, we can't use it as a coin, as a term. But there's issues, but there's other underlying issues. But I think with us leaving this statute, there's a lot of, this is a war. There's a lot of battles in that war. And moving that statute is one of those battles we can win. And when we look at everything that's going on, like I said, everything runs parallel. So, the same zeal and enthusiasm we have for removing that statute is the same way we feel about all the other, things that are going on. That's one of the main reasons I got into education, so that I could make a change in young black men's lives. So it's, be honest with you, listening to Mr. Moore, that was one of my teachers at Monday High School. So I understand what you're saying, but this is one of those battles that as supervisors, that we can stand on the united front and say we got rid of that Confederate statue. Now there are other things we need to do, but we know for sure this is one of them that we did. So I understand what you're saying, but I think they all run parallel with each other.
And let me follow up with saying this. There's no space, light, darkness can't exist where light is. There's no compromising in that. And I apologize because I came with a spirit of trying to compromise, and I was wrong. Martin Luther King said, I want my freedom and I want it now. And there was no middle ground and there was no compromise. And I want to make sure that I hope we understand each other. Of course there are problems. That's why we're here today. Nobody's lessening any problem. We're here to try to tackle those problems. We're here to try to solve those problems. And we invite anybody to come and help us solve this problem. Black folks, from my understanding, had never segregated white folks. Rather say they never had a law where it said that white folks could attend. So it takes two to come together. And I think everybody on this board would reach out to any and everybody, white, black, or what color, to come and let's be together. But being together takes two. It takes the other side wanting to be together. So I hear you, I understand you, and I take everything that you're saying, but understand, the responsibility is not going to be on us this time, because I think that's what we do. I think we reach out all the time.
I want to commend Troy and his son. I appreciate y'all coming. And I'm probably the youngest guy on this board, so some of it, well, I am the youngest guy on the board.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that y'all just mentioned, you just talked about, I haven't experienced my lifetime. Some things I have, but I know my history, and I've had relatives that have. And I feel that we're now in a time and age where we need to be united versus separated.
Right.
I mean, we just did a Pledge of Allegiance where we said with liberty and justice for all. It's not liberty and justice for some, but for all. So all to me means united, not separation. So what that monument out there means to me is that there's a form of separation. And there's no way we can become united as long as we focus on staying separate.
Thank you.
So I thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. President, yeah, I have just a word, it won't be long.
in reference to this. I stood up in support of their request, and to all of the members of the board. I'm Reverend Cora Denise Stewart-Lowe, and I am president of the Rising Sun Community Organization. And I came to say just one thing. You can say a lot of things, like one of the quotes are Black Lives Matter. But what you do is so much stronger than what you say. And it's hard for me to really see that Black lives, all lives matters to you when what you do is different from what you say. And the statute represents a period in history called antebellum. And the antebellum period was a period that celebrated the legalization of slavery. And that is the reason that it is a division. And that is why I say, and I stand with these young men and anybody else who agrees to do this, that if we want to begin unifying our community, those things that are obvious divisions, we're going to have to address them. And I'm like him, let's not throw it into the river. It needs to be in a place where our children can read and learn about it. But if you're going to say that all lives matter, this is an opportunity for you to demonstrate that all lives matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, being that the board has the authority to remove the monument, I'd like to make a motion that we remove that monument pending a suitable, from a more suitable location.
Amen.
They've been moving and properly second. Is there any question? I would like to say this. The courthouse belongs to the people of the Leflore County. And I feel like if we're gonna move that monument, we should put no monument on the property of the Leflore County. And let it be a free place. So if we're gonna ever unite, let's don't put it, if we wanna put statues somewhere, let's put them somewhere where it represents something rather than the courthouse. The courthouse is the Leflore County, the whole county, not just black or white. See, I don't represent District 5, I represent everybody. So, I don't want to step on nobody. I'm kind of like Mr. Brown. I don't have no hatred in my heart, no kind of way. All that was did to me back in the year, I forgave those people that did it. And I wouldn't be up here serving on this board if I had animosity that I could do something to hurt somebody else. I'm here to serve the Leflore County. And if removing that monument is one of the things that we need to do to try to bring this county together, I'm all for it.
I'm proud of you, sir.
That's it.
Thank you for saying
Can I just
Yes, sir.
say something?
that. That's something.
I this won't take but a minute. I am a Baptist preacher. It takes
Oh, no.
20 minutes just to close. If to inform information, person asked me with my personal opinion. I respond in 2 ways. First of all, my personal opinion and my public opinion has to be two. As a preacher of the gospel, I can give my personal opinion, but it's not the word of God. The word of God has to take priority over my personal opinion. My personal opinion about the statute and my public opinion is because my public opinion and my personal opinion are not necessarily the same. Because the public opinion, because the statute is not simply about what I think about. It is about, if the courthouse is to bring us together, if the courthouse is liberty and justice for all, every attorney knows that when you look at justice, justice is blind.
Right.
And the scale's supposed to be blind. So if to help you guys, there was a committee, my request is that before you make that motion, that let the committee tell you something, because that's what y'all told us to do.
Right.
And if you let us give you something in a little while, we're gonna meet again, to help you make that decision. I think it would be more representative of the community because the courthouse belongs to all of us and not any certain group, black, white, red, brown, green, yellow, Spanish, Asian, or American. That we can give you that, and then I think that would maybe be more conclusive and more doing what the whole community.
Can I want to understand what you're saying. Are you saying that you want the vote not to take place?
If
Because I think we're talking about two different things right
Right.
now. My motion was to have it removed, and that was second. You did not make a motion to stop any other erection or any other memorial.
Yeah.
So let's deal with the motion at hand.
Well, let me say, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Moore is right in the motion he made. But all at the same time, this committee that was in place was to design a civil rights statute and to be placed on the courthouse lawn. Now, as you stated, if we remove one, so you're telling the committee they can start right now. That's what we're saying.
That's his opinion.
That's not.
That's my
That's
opinion.
not what
That's
he's
not-
saying.
that wasn't my
Yeah.
motion. That was my opinion, my thoughts on it.
Right.
if
Yeah, that's just my
let
opinion.
me, for clarity again, if I'm clear, the objective of the committee was not simply to erect a statue. The objective of the committee was to bring balance to the grounds of the courthouse. Whether it was a statue, whether it was a mirage, or whether it was a wall, that was the job of the committee, according to what I understood. And whether we're gonna bring an arrow wall, or whether we're gonna bring some other thing, that it would be representative of all the history and not just one side of the history.
Amen.
If I'm clear. So that was mine. So if you take one down and put another one up, then you gotta ask yourself another question.
Right.
But what we're talking about now is
Yeah,
taking
this
that
was you
one down.
right
We
there.
can have all that discussion about whatever we want to have,
Pastor.
but
And not only that, if we did a memorial that compromises both sides of history, but that statue, you know, for me personally, to put a statue of Emmett Till up next to a Confederate soldier that would have did the same thing to him, that does something to my mental, because a statue of Emmett Till is not a precedent.
there's history waiting on
Hold on,
all
Dave.
that.
We
Hold
have a
on.
motion already.
We got a motion on the floor. Is there any more questions? All in favor of removing the section? Aye. Opposed? So the motion has been carried.
Thank you, Jesus. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity just to witness this today. We ask that you just forgive us of all our sins and have mercy on our souls. Heavenly Father, we want you to know that we love you and we need you. We cannot live without you. Bless each and every individual that's in here. We know that they want to do the right thing, but there are sometimes outside forces that cause us to get a little foggy as it relates to decisions that we want to make. But then, Heavenly Father, we recognize that justice will prevail. It has prevailed today. Thank you for the people who voted yes to have that monument removed, because that vote represents the beginning of bringing everyone together. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for allowing me to live, to see this, all these blessings. In your name, sake we pray. Amen.
Amen.